By the way, spoilers for the manga. So I'm simply requesting all the LARPers get out of this video. Now. Starting now. Alright. So apparently, the all-great Fujimoto, the man who's done some questionable things throughout his career, he's officially done it. He has ended Chainsaw Man. And Chainsaw Man fans have an opinion, to say the least. So one speed read of the manga later, and I understand why Fujimoto wrote the ending in the first place, and I understand why a reader of Chainsaw Man or a longtime Chainsaw Man fan would be very pissed about it. So let's go back to English class of high school or middle school or wherever the time when the Venn diagram was introduced to you or was pushed to you. I'm going to bring it back up. I'm going to bring it back to you. And so left side, we're going to do Fujimoto side. Then the other side is the Chainsaw Man side. AKA, it is the writer's perspective versus the reader's perspective. So let's speed read to Fujimoto's side. So what happened was hold on, before we start, I'm going to give you a little bit of a recap. But I'm not going to be too in-depth to it, because I'm going to blame the LARPers for ruining the fun for you. So here's how it's going to go. Well, here's how it starts. The Nostradamus prophecy is coming. If you don't know what the hell Nostradamus prophecy is, Nostradamus was a dude from the 1500s, and he's known for predicting everything you ever think of. And you'll ever think of. Such as nukes in Japan, 9/11, JFK assassination. People aren't going to get justice in the Epstein files. The big Yahoo is a big problem. Well, the big Yahoo is going to be a great evil. Like anything you can think of, that your crazy cousin that smokes weed all the time, or your crazy uncle, or that one anti-Semitic neighbor you have, they love this man. That's all I'm going to say. And specifically, one of the prophecies that Fujimoto decided to use, or one that I'm pretty much going to paraphrase, but he also did, and that is, in the 7th month of 1999, a great king of terror will descend. AKA, the Death Devil is going to come in and start sliming out every human being known to mankind. And Nostradamus' prophecy is basically like, y'all motherfuckers gonna die sooner or later. And that's pretty much what's going on. And how I explain the Death Devil is that it's the baddest of all devils, the bad devil, like the big bad of all devils, like in all of history, pretty much. While the War Devil is going to intervene in this prophecy because she gets powered by war, and she needs human beings to start wars. And so this whole thing is that the Death Devil, she doesn't want the Death Devil to exist in order to maintain her power as the War Devil, while Death Devil believes that it's going to wipe out all humanity in order to save humanity from themselves, because after all, humanity is their greatest enemy. Yada, I'm pretty sure you read this story before. How I'm going to describe it is that Death Devil is the bad devil in all of history, and the War Devil is the worst devil in currently. The Sukuna versus Gojo of Chainsaw Man. And this is going to be important because Denji's going to be like a horny little bastard he always is. Well, not really that, and being taken advantage. He's going to put play into it, because after all, he does have the most powerful devil. And fast forward, the world is ending. Michigan's destroyed. Oregon was used as a baseball bat. This caused Pochita to talk to Denji, being like, "Yeah, bro, let's pause the game for a second. I'm gonna restart the last check. I'm gonna restart to our last save. All right." And totally, all that trauma you went through is not gonna be for anything. All right. Anyways, bye. And so we're going back to the beginning of the story. When Denji had the eye patch and the one testicle, they had. Oh yeah, and also there's one kidney too. And pretty much the whole point is that he's still a Chainsaw Man, but Pochita as a concept does not exist. So I'm gonna reference a really old movie, but I'm not gonna spoil too much for the sake of everyone's time. So just imagine a straight line that just imagine the straight line that you used in grade school with fractions as the current timeline that we see at the end of the manga. And see this little curve? I'm going to draw this little curve right here. And that little curve that you're seeing over that line is basically the timeline that we've seen. So pretty much if you watched a Marvel movie, it pretty much is we're at the end of the story. This is the stable timeline. The one that we've read throughout the entire manga is the unstable timeline. And so Pochita sacrifices himself in order to stabilize the timeline. Well, pretty much to stabilize Denji's life, thus creating an all-new utopia of a timeline that's probably should have been more consequential than anything. But I kind of understand why Fujimoto even wrote it like that in the first place. Because it seemed like he was probably, because it seemed like when he was writing it, like he got to the end of the world part, he was just like, fuck. I intentionally wrote it that Denji was going to probably not going to save the world. And how am I going to do this without making it look like he has plot armor? Well, I got an idea. Let's reset the timeline. Like any comic book writer, you pull the whole it's from a different timeline. It's from a different timeline shtick on everyone. Thus making all the trauma that Denji went through for nothing. But like I said, he was probably like, how the hell am I supposed to end this? How am I supposed to end this? So that's the main point. He did not know how the hell is he gonna get Denji out of this. Alright, so you're getting it with me? Well, I'm gonna add the con that there's gonna be a lot of plot holes that are still not resolved. Just to not make it seem that I'm defending Fujimoto. Now, moving on to the Chainsaw Man reader fan side, aka the reader's perspective. As someone who's read and watched, the anime and the movie and all that, I can understand why it was like that, especially when I pretty much binged through the entire damn thing. It seemed like after all the trauma that you went through with Denji, it seemed like it was nothing. Like as I said earlier, especially watching all your favorite characters and all the messed up stuff that Denji went through was traumatizing enough. And now all that emotion that you had throughout the entire series was just pretty much wiped out from existence. You'll be pissed too. And that's pretty much what it is, That's pretty much what it is. You feel dedicated, yet that dedication led to was anticlimactic. But the con that I'm gonna write down is you gotta understand Fujimoto's perspective. However, I would admit, in order to conclude this thing, I understand. I think another thing about Fujimoto is after reading the manga and watching the Reze arc, and remember when the Reze arc came out and he created an alternate ending of Denji and Reze getting together. He was probably like pulling a George Lucas where he's like, I may have gone too far in a few places. And so that's why at the end of the manga, he decided to think, I'm going to make another excuse to draw Power naked again. Yeah. Which all I'm going to say is, Sir Fujimoto, I understand about you killing off Power and Reze. Well, pretty much as he pissed, but I'm just saying, if I had to watch my beloved drunken widowed mommy wife of a character, Himeno, getting brutally murdered while having the same interaction as Aki did. Oh, let's just say, Mr. Fujimoto, I think you should suffer with the rest of us. After all, it is your work. That, and he did make some peak, but he kind of butchered that peak just so you can draw Power naked again, like I said. So now the question comes, well, I think for me personally is, well, was the story of Chainsaw Man about a teenage boy that has been taken advantage, victimized by every woman that he's touched, or any woman that he encountered, and that basically his whole thing was that he's just suffered. He's pretty much has like one of the worst main character stories, main character lives you can ever imagine, unlike one character that takes the cake. Or in the end, all of this was just a Gunnar manga, or if you're deep within the anime community, sauce, like a really long one. Honestly, I think both of those are true. It was about teenage boy getting taken advantage and victimized, but it seemed like it was a sauce in the end. Especially that Fujimoto did base some of his characters, maybe a lot, from his personal life, like Makima. But we're not gonna go too deep into that. And that's pretty much all I have to say. If you want to give me if I want an honest review, I like part 1 more than part 2, and I think it's a really good manga. I can't really give you an accurate number rating because I think I need to probably let it sink in more. And well, I don't really have an ending besides. Let me read the script again. Oh, dear Elisa Liu, since I know that you're a fan of Chainsaw Man, I want you to please notice me, even if you're probably not going to see this video at all, unless someone decided to spam post that to you at some point in time. Anyway, sincerely, a dumbass kid on the internet that has decided to... I gotta scribble that out. Sincerely, a random dumbass kid that you probably don't know his name of. Alright guys, bye! ガラスの上を裸足のまま歩こう痛むことに血が流れて落ちていく Alright, bye.